The neighbor who never moved in. I don't usually talk about what happened the year I rented a duplex on Willow Bend Road. Most people assume strange noises or a break-in when you talk about a creepy neighbor. It's easier to let them think that. The truth sounds like a campfire story, and nobody wants to believe something like this could happen in a quiet suburb. But it did. And the part that still gets me is how normal it all looked on the outside. I moved in early spring, right after my divorce. I wanted something cheap, quiet, and boring. The duplex was perfect. 2 identical units side by side. Mine on the left, the other one supposedly rented but still empty when I arrived. The landlord told me the new tenant would move in any day now. That day never came. The first odd thing happened on my second night there. I'd fallen asleep on the couch with the TV on low when a noise woke me. Not a crash or scream, just something light, a soft sweeping sound, like someone brushing their palm along the inside of my shared wall. Slow, steady. I muted the TV. The sweeping stopped. The silence that followed felt too deliberate, like someone on the other side realized I was listening. The next morning, I checked the driveway. No car. Curtains still closed on the right unit. Mail untouched. Whatever. Maybe the new tenant worked nights. Maybe they were shy. Could be anything. On the 4th night, I woke up again, this time to footsteps, slow pacing back and forth across the empty living room next door. The floorboards creaked rhythmically in a pattern that made my skin tighten. I sat up listening. Step, 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 pause, step, step. I grabbed my phone and texted the landlord asking if the tenant had finally moved in. He replied instantly, "Nope, still vacant, showing it on Saturday." I didn't sleep the rest of that night. The following evening, just after midnight, I heard something new. A knock on the shared wall, not hard, more like someone tapping a fingernail. 2 taps, then one louder, like a code or a habit. I tried knocking back softly. Maybe some kid had snuck inside. Maybe someone was squatting. Silence for 2 whole minutes. Then from inside the empty unit, a voice said quietly, close enough that I heard it through the drywall, "Don't open the door." It wasn't a yell, not even a whisper, just a calm, matter-of-fact sentence. The kind you say when you're already certain the other person will ignore you. I stepped away from the wall so fast I tripped over my own shoes. The next day I asked the landlord to check the place. He insisted he had been inside 2 days earlier and everything was untouched, but he agreed to come by in the afternoon. I watched from my window as he unlocked the door next door and disappeared inside. 5 minutes passed, 10. Then he reemerged, shrugging casually. "Nobody in there, spotless. Want to take a look?" I told him no. I could barely force the word out. For a few nights, nothing happened. I almost convinced myself stress had made me imagine everything. Then around 2:30 a.m. the following Thursday, I woke to the sound of my doorknob turning. Not rattling, turning, slowly, carefully, as if someone was testing how quietly they could open it. I sat frozen on the couch, watching the knob from across the room. It twisted a fraction, then stopped. A faint exhale pressed against the door from the other side. I could hear it, feel it. Then the footsteps started again, this time inside the empty unit, pacing right along our shared wall. Step, 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 pause, step. My chest tightened so hard I thought I might pass out. When I finally got the courage to stand, I did the dumbest possible thing. I opened my door to check the porch. No one outside. but the porch light in front of the empty unit was on now. I hadn't turned it on. The landlord definitely hadn't. I walked over, slow as if approaching a wild animal. I pressed my ear to the neighbor's door. Inside, someone whispered the same sentence again. "Don't open the door." Only this time it wasn't a warning. It sounded like a reminder, like I'd forgotten something important. I backed away and went inside, double locking everything. That night was the first time I heard the dragging, a slow, long scrape across the neighbor's floor, like someone pulling something heavy, something that didn't want to move. The sound continued for almost 5 minutes. Then another noise followed, a single loud thump, right against my wall. I left all the lights on until sunrise. The following morning, I looked outside and froze. Someone had left wet footprints on the neighbor's porch. Bare footprints, leading from the yard directly to the front door. Only one set. They never left. The footprints dried by noon, and for a moment I thought about calling the police. But what would I even report? Ghost prints? A voice that might have been my imagination? No officer wants to fill out that form. That night I slept with earbuds in, hoping music would drown out anything strange. Around 3 in the morning, I woke to silence so thick it felt physical. My room was warm, but I could feel cold air settling right at the foot of my bed. I pulled the earbuds out. Nothing at first. Then the neighbor's floor creaked. One step, another. Then a slow dragging sound moved toward our shared wall again. A soft thud followed. Not loud, but heavy, as if someone sat down on the floor and leaned their entire weight against the wall that separated us. I held my breath. A faint whisper came through. "You shouldn't stay here," I whispered back without meaning to. "Why?" For a moment I thought the voice had vanished. Then a colder, quieter whisper pressed through the wall. "I never moved in." Something about the way it said never sliced deep. I got up and paced my living room, trying to gather the courage to open the front door and leave. Before I could, 3 knocks echoed through the shared wall. Knock, knock, knock. But they weren't from inside the neighbor's unit. They were coming from inside my bedroom closet. I backed into the hall, heart racing so hard I felt it in my teeth. My closet door was closed, but something behind it shifted, a soft shuffle, like fabric sliding across wood. Then a slow inhale. I grabbed my keys and bolted, refusing to look back. I drove to a motel and stayed there until sunrise. When I returned the next afternoon to grab essentials, I found the landlord standing outside my duplex with a clipboard. He looked surprised to see me. "You okay? One of the neighbors said they heard someone sprinting out at night." I didn't answer that. Instead, I asked the question that had been rotting in my mind. "Has anyone lived here, like ever, in the right unit?" He frowned. "Not since 2004. A man rented it for 2 months, then broke his lease. Moved out in a hurry." "Why?" "What was his name?" I asked. He flipped through old papers. "Daniel Morse." The name meant nothing to me, but the landlord kept looking at the paper oddly. "What?" I asked. He hesitated. "He wrote a note on his move-out form. Weirdest thing I've seen in this business." He handed the paper to me. 3 words were written in shaky handwriting. "Don't open doors, not the door. Door, plural." My skin crawled. I grabbed what I could and moved out that same week. But some nights, even in my new place, I'll hear it. A soft brushing along the wall, a careful tap, a whisper that seems too close. And every morning that follows one of those nights, my bedroom closet door is always cracked open the same way, just a few inches, as if someone forgets to close it completely before leaving.